Hi there, traders. Just wanted to go over another quick demonstration of tymoraPRO's Strategy Builder. I was running the sample bounce strategy this morning, and I wish I had recorded the whole thing, but frankly it would have been over an hour anyway, and I'd like to make this relatively brief. I don't want to overwhelm people. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of how this played out so that you guys can really see the potential of how you can take advantage of tymoraPRO and the Strategy Builder to create semi-automated strategies or even completely automated strategies. And remember, you can do this for stocks, for futures, for Forex as well, and even for baskets and pairs that you build in Tymora. Here we see the strategy ended up playing out very nicely, and there was some intervention on my part monitoring the strategy and adjusting the stops. So that's what I'll just go over quickly. Basically, the strategy, it says bounce strategy, and that's what we were looking for, are bounces early on in the after the stock market opens. And if I double click on VMC here, I see all the statistics, the overall strategy statistics. This is for the whole strategy set because you can have multiple strategies in a strategy set. Then you have the strategy specific statistics, and then the statistics for the individual position. And finally here we're showing the alert that triggered that particular position. And here we see it's a day trend bounce play. So that was that's one of the alert types of many that tymoraPRO generates that you have access to. And in fact, let me close this a second and we'll just scoot back to the watch view. Here we have our bounce tab, and all these alerts were being used to feed the strategy. So if we actually look back far enough, this particular strategy is designed to only take positions from 9:45 to 10 o'clock. So it lets stocks do what they might the first 15 minutes, and then it starts to look for a potential turnaround. And let's see, here we have that VMC right here, 9:45.08, just after that threshold. And we have day trend bounce play minus. And then we have some other parameters. If that's too much information, you can cut that off. But understand that any of this information can be used for filtering down, and also filtering down even further, like in your strategy itself. But this is where we're sourcing these positions. If we look back, I'm going to switch over to build now, and let's look a little how we created this. Max pos 5, max orders 5. So we're basically saying the maximum number of positions we can have at the same time is 5, and the maximum orders to get those 5 positions is 5. We could actually have made that say 10, and if certain positions weren't filling immediately, depending on how we're looking for our executions, we could actually have more orders. The risk of making that larger than the 5 from the maximum positions is that you could get more than 5 positions. What it tries to do is as soon as it gets those 5 positions, it will cancel any outstanding new position orders. So that's a little more advanced, but that's the basic gist of it. Now let's just go over some of these parameters quickly. From watch view, like I said, I showed over here, this is where we're sourcing from this bounce tab. And in fact, this strategy, if you're running tymoraPRO, will automatically create that. That's this first line here, where we have, you see the asterisk, that basically just informs the strategy to create the tab if it doesn't already exist. And we're looking for stocks $25 to $100 a share that contain bounce in them, because we're looking for that bounce play term. And then the next line is just adding that watch view tab to the strategy. Next, we look at the buy rules, and that's another quick point. Here it's not as important, but if you get more sophisticated with your strategies, they might look a bit tight there. These lines might get longer. You can always click on the top of these columns and expand that out. So anyway, here we have on alert key equals play plus. So this strategy can go long or short, and this is how it's differentiating them, because as we see here, we have day trend bounce play positive, or plus, or minus. So we only want the pluses on the buy side and the minuses on the sell side, and that's what the first line here on each column indicates. On alert key equals play plus, or sell side play minus. And if you set up your buy rules and they're essentially the same for the sell side, you could click this little button one way or the other, and it'll attempt to best it can mirror those terms and conditions. You might need a slight adjustment here and there, but it's pretty good at making the adjustments that you need on its own. The next line we're seeing, if trend plus equals day, we're looking for the trend, the cycle optimized tymoraPRO trend indicators. We're looking for those to be positive. So we're currently in an uptrend on that stock. But of course, from that particular alert, we've fallen back to those, the area of those trends. So sort of like a reversion to the mean. And we're also looking, this is an interesting condition, we want the 1 minute trend to be down for the buy. So now start to get an idea of how sophisticated, how advanced these strategies can be. We're looking for a trigger down on a 1 minute, but we're now going to buy, and you see here we are on a buy stop, which is actually a market if touched. And the difference between market if touched and just a standard stop is the stop for a standard stop has to sort of invert. If you're looking on the upside, the bid has to be at or exceed the stop level, whereas market if touched, it just has to trade at that level. And in this case, we just wanted to start trading back at that level. And in this case, the level we're looking for is dynamic, indicated by this asterisk here, on the 5 minute high plus 1 tick. So we're looking back the last 5 minutes in this case, plus 1 tick, and we're looking at the high of those 5 minutes, and we're putting a buy stop above those 5 minutes. And there's many different ways we can do this. We could use the trends, get as sophisticated as we want, or we could have just done buy market if we really wanted to. But of course, then we would have probably preferred to be looking for the trend to be up. And there's different conditions. There's even something called wait for, where you can wait for other conditions. So we could have perhaps looked for the alert to trigger if the trend was down, but we could have waited for the 1 minute trend to be back up to actually initiate the buy. The last rule here is if asset plus equals O, stands for the open, and we're actually using a different symbol than the one that we're looking to buy. The $ SPX, that's the S&P 500 index. So we only want to take a buy trade, a buy position, if the S&P 500 index is trading above the open. We go to the sell rules. Everything I just said, just reverse the logic, and you now have your sell rules. Let's look over at position rules. This is very straightforward as well. Strategy type equals stock, STK. If it were futures, it would be FUT. If it's Forex strategy, it would be FX. The minimum stop is 5, equal 5. It's a relative stop because you don't want to use 80 or 20, the current stock price, because this applies to whatever is the current position. So you don't know what that price is. So that's why that's always initially going to be relative. If you use variables, targeting, for example, move back to the open, then you can use, that'll be an absolute stop. It'll realize the difference that you're using a strategy, and it'll make those adjustments accordingly. But in this case, we're using a minimum stop of 5 ticks. HLOD stop, that is a high or low of the day stop, depending on which, if the position is long or short. We're going to put a stop 1 tick, that's the +1, past the current high or low of the day. The run time for the strategy is 9:45 to 10 a.m., as I had mentioned earlier. And then the way runtime is being used here, it can be, you can in fact have multiple runtimes. You can also give multiple directives. After the runtime, you could have the strategy close the positions, or even stop the strategy and close the positions. In this case, we're only going to allow new positions from that time. And then once we have those initial positions, in this case a maximum of 5 positions, we're just going to let them play out and see how things work out. Flat by close equals 30. It's 30 seconds to the close. We're flat. That's what that means. The last parameter, size by quantity, equals 100. Each one of these trades were taken on for 100 shares. That's where that 100 comes from. If you had wanted to use 500 shares as a base, instead of equals 100, it would equal 500. Be able to scale out. So you would take on your initial position and then maybe sell a quarter of it or half of it as it moves in your favor, take some of those profits off the table, and then let the rest of it run. And as you get more sophisticated, if you want to build on this particular strategy, you might decide automatically, let's say we get back to the previous day's close, automatically just sell half the position. But basically, that's the whole strategy here. You see how straightforward it is, and you could say this is even starting to get a little more complex. So you can make a very simple strategy. There's another example in there, 3-minute trail, where it's essentially like trend trail, where it's just looking for the cycle optimized trends in tymoraPRO, and when you click buy, it'll stay long or short for as long as we are trading above those trends. For example, here, this is just on the 1 minute. Let's say I had used that strategy and bought somewhere over here. Notice how we were always up on this whole move here. And in fact, this is pretty much the move we caught in this bounce strategy. But let's say we had just followed that 1 minute straight up until we started to turn over like we did over here. We would have caught that entire move, and the strategy would have automatically closed out this position as we started to turn back down here. Now let me just jump over to the action log. Here we see all the activity that happened right from the beginning. So at 9:37 I started the strategy. 9:45 took the first potential short trade in rig, and we're seeing here it was sourced from that bounce watch view tab. And the alert was day trend bounce play minus. And if you want to understand more about what all of these mean, as far as the alerts, if we go to main filter, and we see here, that's what I had mentioned before, it's 25 to 100 is the price range for the stock. And we're looking for OR terms, we're looking for bounce. You can view the alert guide, and it gives a good detailed explanation of all of those different parameters that you can key in and target on for your alerts that you're building. And in that same way, if we go back to build, actually there's two things. You have view rules guide. This is useful for two things. If you right click whatever the current asset is in the system, if you right click, we have LLL, it's showing you all the variables you can access for your strategy. And if you have that particular asset open, for example, here we have LLL open on the 1 minute time frame. Any indicators I have over here, and you can even build your own custom indicators, but all that information for that time frame is also available to your strategy. For a strategy like this, that's a little less convenient because we have 5 different positions. Some of you might want to run 10, let's say, but you don't want to have every chart open and streaming necessarily. You might, but you don't want to, certainly might not want to have 10 different positions, charts open at the same time with the time frames you're targeting. So you want to avoid having such specific variables. But you do have like access to all of these other variables for any asset, and that's all includes all the trends and some of the stochastics if that symbol is already open in a chart. Some of these down here, these are the ones that you're getting on that specific time frame. So you have access to that as well. And of course, if you just do a standard left click here, View Rules Guide, you'll see special notes. It explains about the relative stops and targets and ticks and all the parameters. See, it's just very simple. You know, you want to debug a strategy, just debug. Size by quantity, size by value. If you want pre-market, post-market strategies, allow pre-market, allow odd lots for stocks. Some brokers, you can have more issues with odd lots, so we make it where you have to actually allow them for a stock strategy. We have everything you need, you'll find over here with an explanation, and right at the end you even have the explanation of how the variables work. Going back to the action log, if we go through step by step, you see how all the positions were built up, and then you see as soon as a position came in, we would set a stop. And let's just try and narrow this down. We can sort this down. We'll pick, well, we have that LLL up, so let's just type LLL, and now we just get the LLL trades so that we can focus in on that. Makes it a little easier to see over time how that played out. So here we initially got into LLL, potential long trade. It passed all of the strategy's criteria, so we put out a new buy order. And now we see we were tracking as the price was going down. You see the 5-minute high +1, that was our target price. And each time LLL was still going lower. I mean, we had the alert, but we weren't ready to buy until we broke that 5-minute high. And here you see we started at 81.42, repriced down to 81.31, again repriced, and we ended up repricing all the way down to just above 81, and then finally we ended up actually adding the position long at an average price. In this case, it was just 100 shares, so that was the price, 81.02. Immediately after that, notice what did we do? We set a stop on that long position at 80.85, which tells us that was one tick below the current low of the day. Now, that was it. We just let the position do its thing, and we did this for 5 different positions, remember. But now here in this particular strategy, this is where my well, finesse or lack thereof comes in. I mean, I'm sure you guys might have done even better. I was sort of going back and forth doing different things, so I wasn't even fully focused on this. I would just make adjustments as needed. And here you see external adjust stop. So every time this position looked like it was sort of working out, I would raise the stop to, you know, the sort of recent swing low of say the last 5, 10, 1-minute bars. And in fact, here we see, so each time we would sort of have a move up like this, I would just raise that stop and drag it up on the chart. And here we see the strategy immediately recognize those changes. External adjust stop. So you see 81.15. Then I raised it about 10 minutes later to 81.20. Oh, look, we had a nice move up here. And at 10.53, I raised it again all the way up to 81.52. And then we just kind of kept going. And around 11 o'clock, I said, you know what, let me just flatten that position. I'm happy. It looked good. We had a big move back up. We're sort of hitting that consolidation area over here. Let's pull this back in. Look, you see 81.52. This is around where it was almost perfect where I took the profits. For this particular position, I don't think anyone could have done much better. You know, it could do better later in the day, but for this particular move during this period of time, we did pretty much the best we could. And at this point, at 10:58.31, I clicked to do a flatten on that particular position, which basically is just a right click on that position. You can do that from the chart too. I just right click after I click on any one of these. And actually, if you wanted to flatten the whole thing, you know, you can use the flatten for the strategy, flatten for the whole strategy set, or I can even click, you know, I hold the shift key, I click all of these, and I can flatten the whole set that way too. Just would click flat 100 or flat 50%. You have other options here. If I want to remove the stops, I don't want the target, I want to remove unmanaged, I want to remove the particular stock or asset from the strategy, I can do that too, all from here. But in this case, I just did a flatten on that position. So cancel all. It's indicating that the goal is to flatten 100% that long position. Next thing, we're flat at 81.58. Shows us the profit or loss. In this case, it was a profit of $54. And shortly after that, I decided just to stop the strategy set altogether, and we closed out for a total profit of $198, and that's including the estimated commissions, which I'll show you in a minute. You'll see we saved strategy set performance log, and you can see the performance log anytime. You just click position log. This is saving it. Once we stop the strategy and this whole strategy is flat, it automatically saves an ending strategy log, and this is the name. And as a quick shortcut, I just double click on that. It'll automatically open it in the browser. And here we see the full performance log of the strategy. So even though I didn't spend an hour recording every little nuance there, you see how that played out. Maximum positions, the maximum value at risk for the longs, the longs we took, the shorts, the maximum drawdowns on the long side, the short side, and the net drawdown, the winning long short percentages, all the information is here. In fact, just mousing over, we see the alert that triggered each one of these positions, day trend bounce play, TWC. So each one of these, we see exactly what triggered that. We see all the entries, and if there had been multiple entries or exits, average entries, average exits, we would see all of those here, one line after the other, with each separate P&L. In this case, there was only one in, one out. Shows the P&L, and then the net profit tries, again, like I mentioned, it tries to anticipate those commissions and remove them. Commissions are hard because the brokers don't generally provide them, so tymoraPRO does a very good job of tracking them, which ECNs you're using, but it's never going to be perfect, so you just keep that in mind. But sometimes it might overshoot, undershoot, but it tends to be pretty accurate. And remember, if I had wanted to do this live, all I would have had to do on my strategy here, see, account is set to train 1. All I would do is change that to a live account, and then I start and immediately would be running on a live account. That's all it takes. And the strategy is using the real-time data that's being provided. So there's very little difference that you can expect. You certainly don't have to worry about emotions playing in. In this strategy, perhaps a little more, because if you start, since you do have to adjust the stops more yourself, in this particular strategy, you might get more emotional, like, wow, look, I have my profits up very quickly. Let me just take it. You might be a little more laid back if you're in training mode. So that's one little thing to consider. But as far as what the strategy is doing, it's completely non-emotional. When you go live with this, it's going to be very close to what you're used to. And let's just go over here. Like I said, maximum profit, maximum drawdown, and then the performance history of each. So we right from the beginning of that position. In this case, we took that last position at 10 o'clock. That's when we actually entered. Remember, the strategy went from 9:45 to 10, but the way we were looking to get into those positions, you weren't getting in necessarily right away. That's why you see, like in this case, or 10 o'clock or 10:15. But no new positions with new orders would have been allowed after 10 a.m. Let's look at this performance history. You can mouse through. You see how the entire trade played out. So we got in around 81, a little above 81. We still went a little bit down, maybe about 15 cents or so on 100 shares. So we're down maybe about $15, started to come back. And then never took out that low. Otherwise, we would have been stopped out on the trade. So we never hit the low of the day. Then we started to come back. And here we see how that unfolded with our profit. See that for each position we took, long and short. And we see the overall interplay and interaction between all the positions. We have our short positions over time, our long P&L history over time, and then the consolidated. So we see, in this case, we were only in drawdown early on. The worst drawdown, as it shows, $37, and that happened around here. And then we did pretty well. It was almost straight up from there. So the strategy has potential. And again, this is included as a sample for you guys to play with, and gals, in the strategy folder. Let me just go back. So when you load here, you see we have some sample strategies. Some of these are just mine. I play around with others. You'll see are included. Open bounce strategy, that's one you want to look for. And this is not to say this is to use as is. None of these are. A lot of them are just demonstrations, and just to sort of pique your interest and give you ideas on how you can also build strategies and interplay different strategies. You can combine up to 9 strategies in one set, so that if one's maybe not working out as well one day, it'll be complemented by another, and you can have them all running at the same time and tracking them to whatever the degree of of interplay that you want. I mean, do you want it running completely automated, or do you want to add your own little insights and trader instincts to that? That's completely up to you, and you have the flexibility to manage it however you'd like. Another example, another cool thing, like you can even have strategies where, let's say, you're looking for retracements, or even for a particular position. Let's say I see this uptrend here, and I would have liked to also perhaps consider closing that position out on a break of a trend line. I could have actually drawn a trend line on this chart, and let's say I hit Control S, I can actually execute the position off of that trend line, which will adjust automatically the price of those orders as the trend line moves up or down, which is very powerful. I can do that to enter a position into a strategy, or use it to close out a position. I can do the same thing for retracement. If I create a retracement here, let's say I put a minus 50% retracement, which we might almost be there. Not quite. Okay, so that's fine. I can hit Control B within 15 seconds after I put that retracement on, and I can automatically have it execute an order on a 50% fib retracement on that 1 minute time frame. I'm just going to do no for now, but actually, let me just give one example of that. Let's say we wanted to get back in here on a break of this trend line. Control B, yes, just so you see how that plays out. Here we have okay, there's our order. We see that order on the chart. And notice it's following that trend line. As this trend line goes down, this order will actually price downward. We see the S next to the order for a stop, to indicate that the order is a stop. And as soon as we touch that price, we're going to get our fill, in this case for 100 shares. I can easily change that, make the quantity larger or smaller. I can also do that just by dragging up like that. There I just changed the price, holding the control key down and dragging the holding the left mouse button down and dragging up. You see, like that. And I double click. I'm just canceling it. This was just a quick demo, so I don't actually want it to buy there. And I'm going to remove that trend line. Just so you understand how to access some of those keys, on the indicator button, if you right click, so right click equals chart view cheat sheet. That's how you just see some of those commands that I was just doing, so you know how to do it. There's a quick cheat sheet, and you'll learn them pretty quickly with that cheat sheet. It becomes second nature on how to do that. And let's just quickly go through one thing I haven't done yet, some of those other positions, so you see how they play it out on the chart. You see the interesting setups that we picked up with Tymora. Look at that beautiful downtrend that we picked up on, and as soon as we started turning back up, we entered a position that was at TWC position. Here we see 945. We started tracking it, so that goes back to over here. We still stayed in the downtrend. We didn't want it yet, but in fact we didn't take that position until 40. Let's see, sorry, wrong one. 95.72. So we tracked it all the way down, and then we took a position around, I guess around here, when it bounced up. And I actually got lucky because we almost got stopped out on this one. Came very close, like within a penny or two, and turned around and made us a small profit there. Let's look at another one, UNT. See, it popped up on the open, but on the daily, we have that downtrend. See, so that's why we accepted the position. And then as it started to come back in, we went short as we crossed back over here. Let's take a quick look at the VMC position we took. Same thing, look at that. Popped up at the open, past 945, started to turn around, and this is the move we caught. Beautiful move down. And I saw this and I said, you know what, this is good enough. I think I just took the profit there. Let's see where I sold that. Was at 1023. Yeah, you see, just as it started to come back up here, so this is good enough. Let's just take that off the table. And it was a good move because look at that. We started to jump around after that. Rig, I think that was the last one I didn't show. Same thing. This one was interesting. Bounced around a bit. And let's see, when did we, 1017 I closed that. So we almost got taken out again here. I think, yes, 1017. So same thing. I saw that starting to come back above. I said, let's just take that profit. We had a nice, couple waves down. Back to the previous day's close again. Let's just take that off the table. And look at that. We're higher now. So God willing, however that worked out, I did my, the managing I needed to do very nicely here. Certainly might not be that perfect, in fact, every day. You guys might not do as well or could do better. And remember, even when the strategy starts, you might pick better times than 9:45 to 10 a.m., slightly different parameters. So what's interesting, sometimes people might worry, well, if everyone's trying to play this strategy at the same time using the same stocks, could there be a problem? Well, you make slight adjustments, even where you're getting out or where you're getting in. Maybe you want to use the trends as opposed to the last 5-minute high. That's up to you, and each one is going to handle that a little differently. Even if you start your strategy, or let's say use 10 positions instead of 5, it's going to be a different strategy than what someone else is using because of those slightly different factors. And what you do have to remember, though, is that you want to have a sound strategy underneath. I mean, it has to make sense conceptually, and then it's just about managing it. I mean, you want to manage your risk. You in the strategy that makes sense. I mean, you're looking for some sort of mean reversion in this case. You're looking for stocks that have a particular trend already, and you're looking to work within that framework. And if you're looking for those parameters to line up, you have a good shot at success. And tymoraPRO's there waiting and ready to help you automate that process to whatever extent you want, and you want its involvement. The rest is up to you. I hope this really awakened your sense of curiosity and interest to the potential here